1 Frank Wisner, Berlin Congress for Cultural Freedom, Activities of Melvin Lasky, in Michael Warner, Origins of the Congress for Cultural Freedom, Studies in Intelligence, Vol. 38-5, Summer 1995. 2 Michael Warner, Op.Cit. See also Evan Thomas, The Very Best Men, The Early Years of the CIA, New York, Touchstone, 1996, footnote on page 263. Through Edward Shills, Remembering the Congress for Cultural Freedom, 1990, unpublished proofs. 4 Natasha Spender, interview, Mausan, July 1997. 5 Melvin Lasky, interview, London, August 1997. 6 All CIA operations had cryptonyms preceded by a 2-letter diagraph for signal security. Evan Thomas, Op.Cit. 7 George Kennan to Robert Lovett, 30th of June, 1948, SDPPW RG59 NARA. 8 Tom Braden, interview, Virginia, July 1996. 9 E. Howard Hunt, Undercover, Memoirs of an American Secret Agent, California, Berkeley Publishing Corporation, 1974. 10th Miles Copeland, National Review, 11th of September, 1987. 11th of C.D. Jackson to Abbott Washburn, 2nd of February, 1953, CDJDE. 12th of James T. Farrell to Meyer Shapiro, 11th of September, 1941, MS-CHOL. 13th Carol Brightman, interview, New York, June 1994. 14 Arthur Koestler, Immediate Tasks for the Transition Period, 4th of July, 1950, IB GMC. 15th of Donald Jameson, interview, Washington, June 1994. 16th Manifesto of the Congress for Cultural Freedom, July 1950, CCF Chai. Arthur Schlesinger to Irving Brown, 18th of July 1950, IB. 18th Arthur Schlesinger, interview, New York, August 1996. 19th of IBID. 20 of Peter Vansittart, in the 50s, London, John Murray, 1995. 20 for Robert Bruce Lockhart, The Diaries of Robert Bruce Lockhart, 1939 to 1965. 20 Suk, James Simmons, The Ballad of Bertrand Russell, Judy Garland and the Cold War, Belfast, Blackstaff Press, 1976. 23 Giles Scott Smith, The Politics of Apolitical Cults, The Congress for Cultural Freedom and the Cultural Identity of Postwar American Hegemony, 1945 to 1960, unpublished PhD thesis, Lancaster University, 1998. 24 The Lawrence de Neufville, telephone interview, February 1997. 25th Nicholas Nabokov, address to the Congress for Cultural Freedom, Berlin, July 1950, CCFCI. 26 C.D. Jackson to Tyler Port, 8 March 1950, CDJ, DDE. Nicholas Nabokov to Irving Brown, 6th of December 1950, IBGMC. 28th Nicholas Nabokov to Irving Brown, 17th of January 1951, IBGMC. Quite what the source of this extra remuneration was remains unclear. Soon, however, Nabokov's salary supplement was listed as an expense of the American Committee for Cultural Freedom, which in turn was supported by grants from the Farfield Foundation, a CIA front. 29th of Tom Braden, I'm Glad the CIA is Immoral, Saturday Evening Post, 20th of May 1967. 30. William Colby, interview, Washington, June 1994. 31. Tom Braden, Op.Cit. 32. Tom Braden, interview, Virginia, July 1996. 34. Ibid. 35. National Security Council Directive, March 1950, quoted in Scott Lucas, The Psychological Strategy Board, International History Review, Vol. 18-2, May 1990s. See also Trevor Barnes, The Secret Cold War, The CIA and American Foreign Policy in Europe, 1946-56, Part 2. The Historical Journal, Vol. 25-3, September 1982. Barnes reveals that the idea of a Kremlin master plan for global domination was viewed with some suspicion by a group of CIA analysts. Project Jigsaw, a top-secret review of world communism, set up in late 1949, concluded there was no such master plan, even if the Kremlin did manipulate the communist parties of other nations. Jigsaw was probably influenced by Kennan, who was rethinking his views about the USSR. But its conclusions were so unorthodox that they were smothered even within the agency itself. 36 Edward Barrett, Truth is Our Weapon. 37 Tom Braden, interview, Virginia, June 1994. Braden used another phrase, the battle for Picasso's mind. Taken literally, this would of course have been a Sisyphean task. When Cleve Gray, a young American painter serving in the U.S. Army, followed the pilgrimage trail to Picasso's studio after the liberation, he arrived late morning to find Picasso in his underpants, having just got out of bed. Picasso stood by the side of the bed, holding a copy of the communist newspaper L'Humanité in one hand, while he held out the other for Jaime Sabartés, his factotum, to thread it through a shirt sleeve. Then he transferred the newspaper to the other hand, while Sabartès pulled on the other sleeve. Picasso was just about to join the Communist Party, telling the world one goes to the Communist Party as to a spring of fresh water. The scene is described in Antony Beevor and Artemis Cooper, Paris After the Liberation, 1944 to 1949, 38 Tom Braden, I'm Glad the CIA is Immoral, Saturday Evening Post, 20th of May 1967. 39th, Arthur Koestler to Bertrand Russell, 1950, quoted in Peter Coleman, The Liberal Conspiracy. 40 other branch chiefs were given responsibility for the IOD's burgeoning group of fronts, which Braden created in a punch-for-punch response to Soviet deviousness. He answered the communist-backed International Association of Democratic Lawyers with the International Commission of Jurists. For the World Peace Council, there was the National Committee for a Free Europe. The Cominform-backed Women's International Democratic Federation was challenged by the International Committee of Women. The International Union of Students by the CIA-infiltrated National Students Association, the World Federation of Democratic Youth by the World Assembly of Youth, the International Organization of Journalists by the International Federation of Free Journalists, the World Federation of Trade Unions by the International Federation of Free Trade Unions. 41 Lawrence de Neuville, telephone interview, February 1997. 47 Nicholas Nabokov, Badge, 43rd Nikolibokov to James Burnham, 6th of June 1951, CCF Chai. 44 Carol Brightman, interview, New York, June 1994. 45 Diana Josselson, interview, Geneva, March 1997. 46 Nicholas Nabokov to James Burnham, 27th of June 1951, CCF. 47 Peter Coleman, Opbot Sit. 48 Francois Bondy and George Altman to Michael Josselson, October 1950, IB GMC. 49th, Nicholas Nabokov to Irving Brown, 3rd of September 1951, IBGMC. 50. There were strong reasons for trying to silence the anti-clericalist clamor of the Italian outfit. At this time, Lawrence de Neuville was involved in highly sensitive talks with the Vatican as part of a CIA initiative to deploy Catholic trade unions throughout Europe as a counterforce to communist-dominated labor groups. The potential embarrassment to the CIA of one of its assets publicly criticizing the church was great. 51st, Nicholas Nabokov to James Burnham, 6th of June 1951, CCF Chai. IBID.